Under the shroud of night on the deck of the Oro Jackson, two men drank together in relative silence for the last time. One of the men was seated on a small stool, immersed in his own thoughts while he drank. However, the man took a pause so he could gaze into his glass and see his reflection off the surface of the sake in his hand. "We've sure come a long way, haven't we?" the man asked, as he noticed his blonde locks have begun to fade white and his face began to wrinkle. The second man, who was leaning off of his friend's backside, chuckled before chugging his alcohol. Then, by removing his lips from the bottle, he made a sound of satisfaction. "Ah ha ha, we sure have, Rayleigh." The man agreed. Before the two entered a silence once more, Rayleigh gripped hard onto his glass, nearly breaking the fragile cup. It had been a whole year since he last saw his captain and best friend, leaving Rayleigh with so many questions, but so far next to no talking was accomplished. "Roger Dash. You know Rayleigh," the king of pirates began, cutting his friend off. "After we conquered the Grand Line, I asked myself, what other adventures could my life hold? What could I do next?" Rayleigh remained silent, unable to answer his friend's questions. "To be truthful, I didn't know the answer myself. So that is why I left and began to travel on my own." Roger revealed, but left out the most important detail of where he went. "I must have traveled the entire world in my search." Rayleigh couldn't take it anymore, his anger getting the best of him. "Damn it, Roger! Where have you been this past year? Without you, the crew fell apart, and all that remains now is you and me." Rayleigh shouted in rage, creating large cracks around his feet by using his haki. Roger was unmoved by his vice captain's outburst. Instead, he began to drink once more. "You truly want to know?" Roger asked in a low and serious voice. Rayleigh nodded. "Yes, I believe that I deserve an explanation," the pirate replied, his anger slowly receding back. "Well, the truth is, I found love. Well, to be more precise, her name is Porgas de Rouge." Roger explained further, before grinning ear to ear. "It's hard to believe, but in a few months' time I will be a father." Rayleigh was taken by surprise, never imagining Roger was going to have a child. "Roger, that's wonderful news, but what if the world government catch wind of your child?" Roger's smile faded and he let loose a sigh. "I would protect my child, but my sickness is growing worse, Rayleigh." The king of pirates took a drink of his sake, before continuing. "So I'm turning myself in, and before you say it, I've already made a plan to keep my child safe." "Roger, you can't do this. If we look hard enough, we could find you a cure." Dash, "Rayleigh, I didn't come here to discuss false hope," Roger explained, cutting his friend off once more. Rayleigh gritted his teeth. "Then why did you come here?" the vice captain asked in low and bitter voice. Roger removed his arm off of Rayleigh's back and began to walk. "I wanted to speak with you one last time, and I wanted to leave you with one final order." Roger spoke truthfully as he gazed of the side of his ship for the last time. "When I'm gone, I want you to find happiness like I have. I want you to have a family and live a happy life. This is my last order as your captain." Rayleigh spun around and looked to his friend with wide eyes. "How can I live a happy life knowing my best friend is dead?" Rayleigh asked, his voice sounding broken and enraged. Roger turned to face Rayleigh and gave the man a wide grin. "I'm not going to die, partner." Day of Roger's execution. Today was the day that the entire world watched, as one man kneeled at the top of an execution platform, located in the heart of his own hometown, which was a decently sized area only a few miles away from Reverse Mountain called Lode Town. Many gathered in the town itself and cheered for the death of the Pirate King, while others silently spectated and struggled with the impending death of a close friend. However, there were the few who either refused to watch due to their connections to Roger, or simply because they didn't want to watch, as the world government earned their first and final victory over the Pirate King. Though while all this went on, one Silver's Rayleigh fit into the group of people who were unable to see his friend off the world, thanks to the Marines wanting to capture and execute him as well. To little surprise, Rayleigh wasn't to heard about his absence at the execution. Who would really like to stand by and watch helplessly while their best friend is killed before their very eyes? Rayleigh surely wouldn't wish to do so, especially after he and Roger had already said their goodbyes. So instead, the Dark King chose to spend his day in a manner he found more appropriate. drinking alone in an empty bar located at Grove 13 of the Sabaody Archipelago. More. The former vice captain ordered, while slamming his empty glass onto the counter. The bartender, a middle-aged woman who goes by the name Shanky, sighed. I think you've had enough, Rayleigh-san. The raven-haired beauty advised. Besides, your captain wouldn't want for you to be drowning your sorrows away. Rayleigh simply nudged his glass forward. The lectures can come a different time, for now pour the sake. Rayleigh ordered again, but this time Shanky complied to his request. Here, just drink then. Shanky spoke with a small hint of irritation before she retrieved a cigarette and gave it a light. Then, by bringing it to her lips, she took a deep breath before exhaling a cloud of smoke. Rayleigh quickly drank the fresh sake given to him and sighed while closing his eyes. I'm sorry for my rude behavior, Shanky. The Dark King apologized before the bar fell silent. Shanky opened her mouth to speak, but was stopped by the abrupt sound of the bar door slamming open. Shanky-chan, I'm back. A loud and cheery voice announced. Rayleigh shifted his gaze over his shoulder and was left speechless by the new arrival. A woman, to be more accurate, who was dressed in a dark orange jacket with a high collar. Her midsection was left exposed, however, due to the size of the jacket. The Dark King blushed as he watched the woman's hips swing as she approached the counter. Just like her jacket, the woman had even less clothes below her belt line. Since the only other item of clothing she had were very tight black shorts, which were held together with a white belt. However, the woman's beauty didn't stop at her body. No, her face was that of an angel, with beautiful creamy white skin and long cascading red hair. Which Rayleigh had to admit he thought was gorgeous, but also familiar at the same time. Shanky looked between the new arrival and sighed. What are you doing here, Kushina? The barkeep asked, her voice not sounding thrilled about Kushina's arrival. I thought you went off to watch the execution. Kushina's face twisted into a frown. You wouldn't believe how many people are gathered in the square right now. It's ridiculous, and they're all there for what? To see a broadcast of a single man being executed. The red-haired beauty rambled while taking a seat by Rayleigh. It makes me sick, to be honest. I told you earlier that you would get upset, but you refused to listen to me. Shanky replied, while handing Kushina a drink. Here, it's on the house. Kushina accepted the drink. Thank you, Shanky-chan. Kushina spoke with gratitude before bringing the glass to her lips and drinking all the contents. But I know you were right. Shanky cocked a grin and looked over to Rayleigh, who unsurprisingly hasn't shifted his vision off Kushina since she entered the bar. You should know better than anyone, Kushina. I'm always right. The raven-haired woman spoke cockily, causing Kushina to growl. Stuff it, Shanky-chan. I'm still pretty upset over Roger's execution. Kushina revealed, piquing Rayleigh's interest of the woman even further. I never got to thank him. Why did you want to thank the captain? Rayleigh asked, earning himself the full attention of the red-haired beauty, causing his face to turn red in embarrassment. Captain? You were a part of Roger's crew? Kushina asked with a small hint of astonishment. Rayleigh nodded to both questions. Yes, in fact I was Roger's former vice captain. Perhaps you've heard of the famous Dark King, Silver's Rayleigh. The pirate spoke proudly, using his fame to build his confidence while talking to Kushina. Amazing, I never thought I'd run into such a famous pirate in a dump like this. Kushina spoke in awe, while causing Shanky's eyebrow to twitch. A dump? The barkeep mumbled under her breath. I'm really not all that great. Rayleigh spoke humbly, while rubbing the back of his head awkwardly. Though I'm still curious as to why you wanted to thank the captain? Kushina made a toothy grin that made Rayleigh's heartbeat increase. Well, I wanted to thank him for watching over my little brother and letting him travel with you. The red-haired beauty explained to the Dark King. Oh, so your brother was a member of the crew. May I ask what his name was? Rayleigh asked, thinking he most likely shared many adventures with Kushina's brother. His name is Shanks, Uzumaki D. Shanks. Kushina revealed, while giving Rayleigh another grin. Rayleigh began to laugh to himself. Shanks, our little cabin boy, is your little brother? Rayleigh shouted loudly, using his hand to slap the bar counter. Now that you mention it, I see the resemblance in your hair color and facial features. Kushina joined in on Rayleigh's laughter and threw her head back from laughing. You know, Rayleigh-san, you must tell me all the stories and trouble my baka of a brother got in. Kushina laughed out, causing Rayleigh to nod. Don't worry, Kushi-chan, I have plenty to share. Rayleigh laughed out with a wide grin, before stopping and looking to the smiling woman and realizing something. Even though today was the day he lost his best friend, Rayleigh was having fun and laughing. Is this the happiness the captain wanted for me? Rayleigh pondered in his own thoughts, while picturing himself spending even more time with his new red-haired acquaintance. And a few years later, it's been a few years after Rayleigh and Kushina had met in Shanky's bar. And since then, the ex-pirate and red-haired beauty had fallen in love. Though love has its struggles, especially love between a beautiful woman and one of the most notorious pirates alive. So when the duo married, few were there to witness the joining of the two lovers. However, this didn't bother Rayleigh or Kushina. They didn't want the wedding to be some grand spectacle, but Rayleigh thought it would be nice if the Marines would cease their pursuit on him. That way he could raise his family in absolute peace. Speaking of family though, Rayleigh and Kushina gave birth to a single child. A son by the name of Silver's D, Naruto, who was his father's pride and his mother's joy. However, due to Rayleigh being the Dark Prince, they often left the D out of Naruto's name. This was to protect Naruto, as being a member of the D lineage and the son of a notorious pirate could paint a large target on the boy's back. Naruto himself was very energetic like his mother, but was also incredibly intelligent like his father. Already understanding many things about the world, both good and bad. Like the slave trade on the Sabaody archipelago, for example, a subject which enraged Naruto beyond comprehension. Since the small 8-year-old believed trading off another living creature for money was sickening. He even often asked his father to put a stop to the trade, but his father said the life of a few prisoners isn't worth risking his family's. Naruto knew his father was right, but that didn't mean he couldn't pull some innocent pranks on the slave traders. These pranks were something that were infamous on the Sabaody archipelago, and Kushina and Rayleigh both were fine with them. Just as long as Naruto kept his distance from the celestial dragons, with this one rule which Naruto complied to, much to his distaste since he hated the celestial dragons. The blonde would cause havoc with his pranks and would never get caught. Though to be fair, Naruto was trained by his father at an early age to control the monumental amount of haki he possessed, so this alone made Naruto incredibly dangerous as not only a prankster, but as a fighter also. However, today the blonde wasn't accomplishing any pranking. Instead, he was cooped up in Shaki's bar, since today was his 8th birthday and his family had a surprise for him. "Aunt Shaki!" Naruto called out from a bar stool. "Where are they at?" Shaki giggled while approaching the bar counter. Over the years she had remained friends with Rayleigh and Kushina. To such a degree where she became Naruto's surrogate aunt. "They are meeting up with someone special, then they will be here shortly, Naruto-chan." Shaki replied, before placing a glass of juice in front of the small blonde. "For now, just drink." "Okay, Auntie, thank you." Naruto spoke respectfully, before bringing the glass to his mouth. While the blonde drank, the door to the bar slowly creaked open, followed by a loud laughter from a familiar voice. "Naruto, you baby, you haven't changed a bit. Look at you, you're still drinking juice like a little kid." Naruto instantly stopped and threw his glass towards the voice. "Damn you, Uncle Shanks!" The blonde cried in anger, as he looked over to his uncle who was flanked by both the blonde's parents. Shanks moved his head to the side and chuckled as the glass passed by his face. "Oh my bad, I came here all the way from the East Blue to see my nephew and give him this," Shanks revealed while shaking the wooden chest, which was tucked between his arm. "Is that for me?" Naruto shouted loudly, leaping off the bar stool. However, the blonde quickly froze when he got a clear look at his uncle. "Uncle Shanks, your arm!" Shanks looked to the empty space, where his arm used to reside. "Oh, so you noticed, it's nothing serious," the red-haired pirate explained, but was suddenly struck over the head by his sister. "Baka! You lost an arm! I don't care if you saved some child from dying," Kushina scolded, still upset with her younger sibling. Especially after he continued to act so casually about losing a limb. Now Kushina-chan cut him a break, he lost an arm. "Don't knock his head off as well." Rayleigh spoke up, defending his old cabin boy. Besides, from what I hear, there is something special about that East Blue child. Shanks smiled. He and Rayleigh had already spoke about Luffy and the boy's resemblance to Roger. You know, let's not dwell on the past for too long. Shanks spoke up while walking slowly over to a table. Let me show my favorite nephew his present. The man added in, placing the chest down. Naruto ran excitedly over to his uncle's side and waited impatiently for him to open the box. Oh, what is it? A dagger, or maybe it's full of treasure from the New World. Naruto shouted loudly while jumping onto a chair, so he could be eye level with the chest. Hey, calm down, Naruto. Shanks chuckled, his hand resting over top the chest. This gift comes with a story first off. Naruto deflated from his uncle's words. Oh, I don't want to wait for some boring story. The blonde mumbled and was quickly struck over the head. Be respectful to your uncle. Kushina roared loudly, causing her little brother to laugh. And you? Kushina growled before striking Shanks over the head. At your age, you don't know how many children you influence. Both Naruto and his uncle rubbed their throbbing heads and moaned in pain. Ka-chan/Ne-chan, that hurt. The two males whined in unison. Kushina held her fist out. Damn right it hurt, and if you want some more, I'd love to help you out. The red-haired mother threatened, causing her husband to laugh. Kushi-chan, relax, you know they never change. Rayleigh pointed out as he walked over to Naruto and brought his son into a headlock. Especially this guy, he's as stubborn as his old man. Naruto giggled while fighting his father's hold. Two-chan, cut it out already. The blonde ordered in an embarrassed voice. All right, Naruto, I'll give you a break. The proud father replied, releasing his grip and smiling ear to ear. Why don't we see what your uncle got you? Naruto nodded and quickly looked to his uncle, who merely chuckled as he opened the chest. Well, if you want to know so bad, Naruto, I have to explain a few things first off. The red-haired uncle began, before digging into the chest. You see, me and my crew came across two special fruit, but unfortunately we lost one by accident. Shanks chuckled awkwardly, thinking of Luffy. However, I made sure to save this one for you. Naruto raised an eyebrow in curiosity as he watched his uncle with great interest. A devil fruit? The blonde mumbled in confusion while he inspected the dark green peach his uncle held within his hand. Oh, so I take it you've heard about them. Shanks stated in a matter-of-fact tone before tossing the fruit to his nephew. They are quite rare and powerful, but as you may know, devil fruits also carry a heavy price for the individual who eats one. Yeah, if I eat this, I wouldn't be able to swim. Naruto replied as he gazed into the fruit in some kind of trance-like state. What's this if you eat it? Kushina roared in anger, her hair swinging wildly behind her. There's no way in hell I'm letting you eat a devil fruit. Ne-chan, at least let Naruto decide. Shanks begged, before he was suddenly stuck over the head once more. I've already decided. Kushina yelled, showing she wasn't backing off her choice. Shanks rubbed his head in pain. Damn, I still haven't met someone who punches harder than you, Kushina. The younger sibling mumbled lowly, before looking up to his old crewmate. Rayleigh, why don't you talk some sense into her? Rayleigh looked past the two bickering siblings and sighed while rubbing his closed eyes. Why would I? Nothing can be changed now. The Dark King replied, causing Kushina to smile and Shanks to deflate. Because he already ate the fruit. What? The red-haired siblings shouted in unison, looking over to the blonde-haired child holding his throat. Uncle Shanks, you didn't tell me this fruit would taste like shit. Naruto cried out, trying his hardest to survive the horrible taste that engulfed his taste buds. Kushina rushed over to her son and grabbed him by the ankles. Then, by hoisting him into the air, she began to shake him up and down. Hurry and spit that fruit out right now. The red-haired mother demanded, but midway through her shaking, somehow her son managed to pass through her fingers. What the hell? Well, isn't that interesting? Shaki commented, while watching the entire scene unfold before her. Naruto groaned in pain and rose to his feet. Ka-chan, why would you drop me? The small child asked, looking up to his mother in confusion. who was doing nothing but gazing down on him with a gaping mouth. Rayleigh watched the interaction between his wife and son with a small smirk. "Shanks, what was the name of the fruit you gave Naruto?" the father asked, while trying to take his best guess at what new powers his son held. Shanks smiled at the retired pirate. "Well, it's called the Kaze no Mi, a Logia-type devil fruit," the red-haired pirate explained before finding himself in a headlock. "Shanks, you baka! Why would you give my son a devil fruit?" the enraged mother shouted loudly at her sibling. Rayleigh laughed while walking past his wife, who was busy choking out the famous red-haired Shanks. "So Naruto, how do you feel? Any pain or weird feelings?" Rayleigh asked, bending down so he could be at level with his son. Naruto held his hand up to inspect with his own eyes. "No, Chuchan, I don't feel any different," the blonde child admitted truthfully, causing his father to nod. "That's expected. You'll grow used to your new body in time," the Dark King explained while pushing his hand straight through his son's chest. "You're a wind man now, but don't worry, I will help you train your new body." The new Logia user looked down to his chest, or to be more precise, the empty void of space, where his father's arm was sticking straight through. "This is the best birthday ever," Naruto shouted loudly, causing Shanky, Rayleigh, and even Shanks to chuckle. Kushina, however, was still a little upset and worried over her only child. "I can become even stronger now and become an amazing pirate like Chuchan and Uncle Shanks." Shanks smiled and broke out of his sister's hold. "Oh, are you going to set sail and try to beat me on the road of becoming Pirate King?" the older male asked, wanting to hear the reply his nephew had. "Pirate King?" Naruto mumbled the title in confusion before giving a wide smile. "I could care less about some silly title. I just want to be a plain old pirate." Shanks blinked while looking at the small blonde, whose father merely laughed to himself. "I don't get it. So you just want treasure?" Shanks asked, wanting to under his nephew's reasons for wanting to become a pirate. "No way, I'm not interested in treasure," Naruto proclaimed, stunning his uncle and earning the attention of his mother and surrogate aunt. "I just want to make new friends and have a grand pirate adventure." Shanks formed a small smile. Naruto's response wasn't like his own. Hell, it wasn't even something as the blonde's father would have said. "That's a unique answer, Naruto. I like it," Shanks admitted, before walking over and ruffling his nephew's hair. "I'm sure you won't only have your adventure, but you'll also become an amazing pirate." Naruto grinned ear to ear, looking up to his uncle. "Thanks, Uncle Shanks, for the compliment and the present." The young blonde spoke respectively, causing his uncle to wave him off. "Don't worry about it, Naruto, but I have to ask. Would you like to start your pirate adventure early and travel with my crew?" Shanks asked, again testing his nephew with his question. "Naruto, you absolutely will not be Dash." "Hell no!" Naruto shouted, cutting his mother off and giving his uncle a look of determination. "I'm going to get much stronger, then I'm going to make a crew of my own. Then after that I'll become the infamous Silver's Naruto, Dark Prince of the Seas." "Oh, and how will you become stronger?" the red-haired man asked, looking straight at the blonde with an emotionless face. "Tusan has already trained me to use all forms of haki, and now that I've eaten a devil fruit, I'll become even stronger than you," Naruto proclaimed, with nothing but pure confidence. Shaki chuckled at her surrogate nephew's claim, while lighting a cigarette. "I believe you can do it, Naruto-chan," the raven-haired beauty spoke up, before taking a puff from her cigarette. "I think he can too," Kushina added in, walking over to her family and smiling. "My little baby will become the strongest pirate in history." "Well, to become that great you'll have to become really strong, Naruto," Shanks explained in all seriousness. "You may find out that your haki and devil fruit powers won't be enough." "What are you talking about, Uncle Shanks?" Naruto shouted loudly, his anger resembling that of his mother's. "I'll be so strong when I master the Kaze no Mi that Marines will run by the mere mention of my name." "Your uncle is right, Naruto," Rayleigh spoke up, rising to his feet and walking over to the bar counter. "If you truly want to become strong, you're going to need a large variety in your arsenal." Shaki walked to where she was standing across her friend. "I take this as my cue." The barkeep mumbled before bending over and grabbing something. Here you go, Rayleigh. Rayleigh accepted the large rectangular box, which was hidden behind the counter. Thank you, Shanky. The aged father spoke sincerely before turning to his son. This is from your mother and I. Naruto quickly jumped to his feet and scurried over to his father. Thank you too, Chan. The blonde yelled happily, taking the box from his father. Ahem. Kushina fake coughed, trying to grab her son's attention. Oh, and thank you too, Ka-chan. The blonde added in, while already begging to rip the large box open. Making short work of the wrapping around it, Naruto lifted the top of the box open. A katana? Rayleigh smiled with pride as he watched his son lift out the sword he and his wife had purchased for him. The sheath and the grip were both blood red, while the guard was made of pure gold. However, when Naruto pulled the blade out, he was confused by its blackish coloring. I can see you're a little confused by your new weapon. You see, the blade is infused with the one material that is deadly to devil fruit users. An incredibly rare material called Kairosaki. Rayleigh explained to his son. So with that being said, tomorrow we will begin practicing your swordplay. Naruto lit up with excitement at the prospect of more training. Really too, Chan? I can't wait. I'm going to be really strong now. The blonde yelled excitedly before looking down to his new weapon. But I have a question. What is the name of this sword? The sword has no name. Kushina answered, bringing her hands to her hips. So you get to name it. Really, Ka-chan? Naruto shouted in excitement. Your mother is telling the truth, Naruto. This sword has never seen any form of combat. Since you are the very first person to wield it. Rayleigh explained, giving the background on the katana. Shanks crossed his arms and looked over the sword with a critical eye. This is odd, if what you say is true. Because I can definitely sense a strong presence coming from that sword. The one-armed pirate captain analyzed. I agree, that sword will make a great companion for Naruto-chan. Shanky pointed out, giving the blonde and his new sword a smile. That it will, Shanky, but tell me, Naruto. What name will you give that sword? Rayleigh asked, curious as to what his son could come up with. Or will you not name it? Naruto looked around the small bar, stopping to look at each individual of his family. Finally coming to a stop when he looked at his new katana. I'm going to call it Kurama. Naruto revealed with a cheeky grin. Pretty cool name, don't you think? I think it's a wonderful name for a sword, Naruto-chan. Shanky praised, causing the blonde to blush. Thank you, Auntie Shanky. Naruto thanked respectively before he felt a hard slap against his back. I think it's a perfect name for a baby swordsman. Shanks added in with a loud laugh. Damn you, Uncle Shanks! Naruto shouted in anger, flailing his arms and new sword into the air. Oh, ha ha ha! Rayleigh laughed loudly, greatly amused by his son and brother-in-law's antics. Kushina quickly brought her hand to her mouth so she could stifle her laughter. However, her son caught a glimpse of her and her husband's actions. Two-chan! Ka-chan! Why the hell are you two laughing too? The blonde child cried in rage. This isn't funny. Aw, Naruto-chan, you're too adorable. Kushina laughed loudly, finding her son's anger more cute and humorous. Naruto brought his hand into a fist and shook with rage. Just you all wait. I'll become a famous pirate that no one will ever laugh at. Naruto proclaimed, looking down to his katana. Me and Kurama are gonna turn the world upside down. I'm sure you will, Naruto. Rayleigh spoke proudly, placing a hand on his son's shoulder. You're the Dark Prince after all.